this is something yeah, I wanted to get into is this paperback book of Miley Cyrus's life. And what I've read so far is, this right here in my turn. Yep. Yep. More than half done with the book. Good read so far, So many interesting things, though, that I wanted to talk about in this book. I think, when thoughts are written out and on print or whatever, or in a book, it's different. Like this, this girl is good inspiration, she looks amazing on this book cover, and just, where Miley is at now. She's more mature now, she's accepting where she's at in life too. It's like she always felt like she's Hannah Montana, But yeah, miles to go. She definitely had a journey in her life, doing the Hannah Montana skit and everything. All the movies that she was in, though. The things that she's mentioned is, when she was bullied. Like, that was one thing I didn't even know about Miley, though. But I'm not going to get into everything, but yeah, that's one of the things that was interesting to me, is like her talking about her bullying experiences. Famous as she is, as lovable as she is, she was human and went through stuff, and she was a child too. Like, before going on Hannah Montana, she mentioned, like, how she got bullied by some girls that were supposed to be her friends. That was one of the interesting reads to this book. Is that, and then, the Hannah Montana gig is nothing new. She pretty much talks about everything that we already know. How she got the phone call and everything like that. And she goes into the live performances. How, she was performing as Hannah Montana and nobody knew who she actually was underneath all that. But I think the one thing that people forget, though, is her dynamic between herself and Emily Osment, though. And they say that they're not really friends, but, well, they had this struggle at the beginning, just because, Miley was new at this thing, and, Mitch and Emily were already established, but her dynamic with her, she was talking about, we weren't really friends at first, if you got this book, get it and read that part, and then, change your perspective a little bit more. I'm not saying I know Miley personally like that, but I think we get it wrong sometimes, and yeah, she did get into how they did not get along at first, but then, they got used to each other after a while, and then become friends, She just mentioned how it's just two regular teenage girls just fighting like it's a normal thing. I can see that point, Also, it's like, how do you get things settled down? But I guess once they got to know each other, it's like, that's what Miley talked about, is just more likely just them getting to know one another a lot better, And it's amazing, her and Mitchell Musso's dynamic was, attached to one another right away. Miley's we already know her dynamic with Mitchell at the beginning, like, and that sounds weird, but, the way she said she had a crush on him is, like, at the beginning of it. It was, I guess, it's just kind of how it is when you're in that bit in the business of acting. But yeah, just in terms of that, yeah, she says they started off bad, on bad terms. They started off that way, but on a personal level, I don't know. I'm not her, so it's like, but in terms of this book, the way her thoughts are written now, it kind of makes sense to me. They were just trying to motivate each other, probably for motivation purposes. But yeah, that really stood out to me. And then talking about her grandpa passing away, just yeah. And one thing that amazes me is her lack of experience in the acting field before going on Hannah Montana. It's like she was natural for the position that she played. It's like she was an established actress, but she was not, though. And, she gained experience along the way. That's how I take it. Miley gained experience being on Hannah Montana, and just, it's like comedy is natural for her, though it just seems like it always was her thing. The 4 seasons that she was on there, just, the rift with Disney she had towards the end, but then it's like now, she did the 20th anniversary. It's like she's reconnecting with her old self, and she now misses the old self of when she played Hannah Montana. It's like she can never, I guess when she was young, like 2013, like just trying to figure herself out, she was trying to find an escape at that point, right? But now that she's mature, it's like now she wants to reconnect with her old self, and she's 33 years old now, and Miley seems more mature, more accepting of who she was on Hannah Montana, and now it's like, and now, there's a thing that she said where she feels like she is Hannah Montana, and it's just amazing to see that she doesn't see Hannah Montana as a bad thing, I don't think she ever did, but the way how mature she is now, her perspective on it is like she misses being on Hannah Montana. Is what I get from it, from her attitude nowadays. But yeah, she felt the burnout. I think we all could see that, though. And that's why there was only, in season 4, there was 13 episodes. 15 if you include the 2-part series, a couple of those episodes. But what Miley's finding now is, like that she misses her past self and being on Hannah Montana, that it stays with her. Right? Yeah, I just wanted to introduce you to this book a little bit, though. But yeah, those are some things that I just wanted to share. There's just pictures in here. So yeah, won't make this one too long. Just this is it right here. This is the book. In the back of it. Just right here. Take a moment to read that. It's a nice cover design, though. The stars and all that on here. Yeah, you'll notice in this book that there's some written things on the side, though, in certain areas of the pages. Yeah. As you see, #1 New York Times bestseller. It was a great book. Definitely a good read. So, yeah, that's it. And then, 5 chapters, includes, and there's pictures in it. These are like, these are some of the pictures right here. I'm not even to this part of the book yet, but yeah, these are just, yeah. Yeah. You get the gist of it, though. Yeah. If you don't have it, get it. It's an amazing read. Whether if you love Miley or you hate her, this is her personal experience. Just meeting her fans right here. She had a real good larger-than-life personality. Yep. That's where I'm left off at. So, yeah, not too much more I wanted to get into. Just a few points, that of interest in this book, though, that I found interesting to share. So, yeah, if you don't have it, go get it. Yeah, if you don't have the book, get it. It's a good read, and, there's parts of this book where she has an introduction to the introduction of the book. Yeah, it just talks about her grandfather right there. But before it's just like an introduction to the introduction. See, and then you got that. She writes things on the sides of it. To add in little talking points on the side, Then you'll see this in here. The intro. Yeah. Good book. Yeah, so more things to show you along the way. But yeah, that's it right there. So alright, that's it for this video. So next one we'll get into more Hannah stuff. More Hannah stuff and Miley stuff, but this is all. Alright, now that I have is just this, and then those, these right here, yeah, just stickers right there. Yeah, this is all I got going on right now. So, yeah, there'll be more to come.